Hey everyone, welcome back to a new video. Out here at my place right now in this old collapsed barn, sawing up a bunch of stuff into little pieces that make it more manageable to clean out, because I am finally tackling this project. I put some goats in here like, I don't know, a month ago, and they've eaten down the lower 3.5 feet and sometimes 4 feet if they can jump onto something and eat all the leaves. So this is what I'm looking at. There's a lot of old stuff in here. That's my hand saw and that's my dad's Milwaukee saw. But I have been thinking about this thing and how I'm going to basically just save the skeleton and rebuild it. So this is a really nice space actually, and it's got a lot of these big posts, and these are like super sturdy. There's no rot in them. They're really solid into the ground, and you can see that that's what the majority of the framing is made up of. So my plan here is to replace all these 2x6s and put new rafters and steel on the roof, and then use this as a goat barn or a whatever barn, whatever I choose to put in here. Goats, maybe horses, or maybe cattle, who knows. I'm a crazy farming gal, so whatever I end up putting in here, I have wanted to get this cleaned up for the almost 2 years that we've been here now. I've tried tackling it before. It just looked like such a huge project. So now, since I've had these goats in here, they've cleaned up that bottom 3 feet, and there's not actually a lot in here. It's just tedious work, if that makes sense. So right now, I have been sawing away at these rafters, making sure that there's nothing above me, because that's the safest way to work. I wasn't able to reach that because it's leaning on the front of the barn. So I'm just slowly chipping away here at the rafters that are on the floor, and then cleaning up and just leaving the branches on the ground, because these guys can clean that up even more. And I'm just going to be gathering up all of this stuff and putting it on a pile. I'll probably try and grab the tires to bring that to my parents' place for their silage pits. I wish all of this was salvageable, but I don't think it is. So that's kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. Back in the swather, cutting alfalfa today. This is our second cut alfalfa and our last cut of alfalfa for 2025, because our growing season doesn't really allow for us to have a third cut typically before it freezes. And if you cut it too late in the season and it does get a good hard freeze, you have a really good chance of just killing the alfalfa completely. So that's why we only do 2 cuts a year typically. Yeah. This field ended up getting a lot of moles since the last cut, unfortunately. So it's a bit of a bumpy ride. Even with the seat float being adjusted for it. So yeah, looks pretty good. Real green, real nice. It's gotten a lot of rain. Well, looks like we're getting rained out. I just got the phone call to stop, so that's unfortunate. But nothing you can do. You can't control the weather, so yeah, I got pretty much 70 acres down today. Just we had a later start because you gotta wait for the dew to burn off, and now we've got some rain, so not great. I feel like I could keep cutting, but if we keep cutting and the entire swath is just soaking wet, it's never gonna be dry enough if you just throw it all in the swath. So hopefully we can get something going again tomorrow, but we will see. We will see. Yeah, that reel and everything is just soaked. Dark cloud in the back here going west, and the dew actually did not dry off very well this afternoon, so the tarp is still soaking wet. All of the molehills are completely mud. Everything is just soaked, so it's been fun cutting. The left side of the header has a tarp that's, I'm pretty sure, kind of full of mud. This crop is amazing. It's heavy, it's full, it's gorgeous. We love a big, gorgeous, full crop. It is more of a pain in the butt to cut though. And yeah, I just don't have the words. I haven't cut alfalfa like this in a really long time, but it is nice. There's gonna be a lot of feed in here. But again, I'm trying to outrun the rain. This is insane. I started at 1 again because yesterday evening it rained, so I got rained out. This morning, again, we had a little thunder shower, so I had to wait. I couldn't start in the morning. And now again, it's 4:45, and it's looking like we're gonna get hit with another shower. So, yeah. This is what it was like 10 years ago trying to silage. It feels really weird to have it feel like that again. Like, look at those clouds. That's what we're running from, guys. And then this tarp here is kind of getting a little slow. So if I don't watch it, all the crop piles up because it doesn't get pulled into the center, into a swath. Okay, so I'm just gonna try. Sorry, I just got distracted by hearing a bunch of mosquitoes. I think, yeah. Anyway, we're just gonna check it out under here. Because typically this is the thing that gets really full, and you know, normally I would try and do a field fix on this. It's squishy, so I know there's dirt under here. Normally I would try and do a field fix on this, but this is something that you have to take this off for, because I can't get in between there to scrape it out. And usually you can tell by looking here where the rollers are. And this is hot. And like this is totally full of dirt. Right? So you know there's lots of dirt here because of the moles. Unfortunately. So I'm gonna have to bring this back to the yard, while I was trying to outrun that beautiful piece of work. That sucks. Hey, rookie, cutie.
Actually, the end is pretty good.
It's just like Play-Doh almost.
Yeah.
Wow. Alright guys, it's the next day. I've been cutting since 7:30 and it's 10 to 8. So all day. Cutting for over 12 hours now basically. With a lunch break in between. Which is wild. And there's not much been happening except for the fact that we changed headers. So for anyone that doesn't know, this is a haybine header. The haybine header is typically quite a different beast from the Draper header, which is what I was using before. The main difference between these two headers is the fact that this one is less than half the size of the other one. So the other one we have is 35 feet. This one is 16 feet. So it takes more than twice as long to cut fields with this thing, and it's also got an auger, and that's what moves the crop. So you can see kind of like that spinning thing right there. That is what pulls the crop into the swath, and then as it's going through into a swath, it goes through another roller called a crimper, and that's what cracks the stem. So typically this header is used when you're cutting hay, which is why it's called a haybine header. So we're using this right now because it's got a lot less tarp parts, which, as you saw, is the reason why we were plugging up in that other header. It's just all that mud and dirt gets caught up in the rollers, and it just makes a whole big mess and just keeps it from working properly, and it wrecks the tarps. So we switched to this one because there are no tarps, and this one is just a bit more of a beast when it comes to uneven ground and just difficulties with the land or the crops. So in this case, it is all the molehills that are creating the problem. Unfortunately, makes for a very bumpy ride. So that's where we're at. Today I have cut 60 acres in this field and probably about 40 or 50 in the other field. And I'm going about 5 to 6 miles per hour, so it's slower going, unfortunately, but it's not too bad, especially when I have such a cute little buddy with me. She's sleeping. And I mean, I tried to make that mat all nice and stuff for her, but she always ends up rumpling it and folding it funny, so she's using it as a pillow right now. Dad's coming to tank it up, because I'm at a quarter tank left now. Alright, it's the next day. I ended up cutting until 1 a.m. last night, and then I went to bed because I couldn't keep my eyeballs open anymore. And for those of you that are thinking, Nalene, that's psychotic, why would you do that? It's a lot slower cutting with this thing, and this crop still needs a bit of time to dry before we chop it and turn it into silage. So the more I cut ahead, the more time it has to dry, the better the feed will be. because silage needs to ferment, and if it's too wet, then it rots instead of ferments. So that's why I did it like that. So I got somebody raking now on the field that I was working on yesterday. I'm just over halfway done this current field. This is our worst field. It's very bumpy. Many of them even like, I think harrow packed it is what you call it. She dragged some blades across the ground after our first cut to smooth it out, but that doesn't necessarily kill moles. So they come back, and they have come back with a vengeance, unfortunately. Okay, so I went to tank up the swather, then I went to go grab a coffee, and this is normal leaking. This is from the AC. This is not normal leaking. And this is oil. And it's coming from in here a couple different places. So, yeah, you can see it dripping there. I'm not sure what that is. So I've texted my dad and Brent already, but yeah. The other leak that was taking up all the hydraulic fluid, Brent did find that and fix it. It was a little motor on the swather header that was just leaking onto the swath. So that's why we were losing so much hydraulic fluid. But this is something else, so another problem. Okay, Brent's looking at the machine. And you can't tell where it's leaking from. There's just too much dust. So we're taking it to the pressure washer, and hopefully we can clean it that way and make sure that we can get this guy fixed up and on the move again. Good thing I stopped for tanking up and to sneak a coffee. It was just enough time for me to see that there was something not quite right under there.